You know how they say if a deal seems too good to be true, it probably is? Well, sometimes the reason why is way more terrifying than you could ever imagine. Today, we're going to dive into a reported haunting that pushed 3 friends right to the absolute edge.
So, let's dive into the story. We've got 3 friends, Archit, Raman, and Alok, and they're moving into this new apartment in Greater Noida. They thought they'd absolutely scored the perfect bachelor pad, but, well, they were about to find out they weren't the only residents.
Okay, so we're actually going to start this story near the end, right at the most terrifying moment. Picture this. It's just a quiet afternoon. A simple meal is cooking away on the stove. And then, bam! In an instant, everything goes horribly, horribly wrong.
I mean, really imagine it. You're just hanging out with your friends, and suddenly the whole apartment fills with this awful, burning smell. You go to see what's up, but the door just slams shut and locks from the outside. Panic starts to hit as thick, black smoke begins pouring in under the door. You are trapped. For Archie and his friends, this didn't feel like some random accident. No, this felt like a deliberate attack.
So, the big question is, how did a totally normal day turn into, well, that? To figure it out, we've got to rewind. Let's go back a few months to when they first laid eyes on what they thought was their dream apartment.
All right, Section 2, a deal too good. So yeah, how did this whole thing kick off? Let's meet the guys. You've got Archit, Raman, and Alok. A couple of them are in IT, one's doing his MBA, and they're all on the hunt for a new place. And what they find, well, it seems perfect. Almost too perfect. And get this, the rent was just 11,000 rupees a month. For a big, furnished apartment in the Delhi area, that's not just a good deal, that's an absolutely unbelievable, once-in-a-lifetime kind of deal. They seriously could not believe their luck.
And we're not talking about some empty shell of a place. No way. This place was fully furnished. It had a TV, speakers, proper beds in every room. Even the bed sheets were included. The whole shebang. They just figured, hey, the price is so low because the area is still being developed. You know, it made sense. It was the bargain of a lifetime. Or so they thought.
And for about 2.5 months, life was awesome. I mean, they were having parties, friends were always over. They were living the dream bachelor life. Everything was just normal. Until one late night ride for drinks completely shattered that illusion. So Archit's the one driving, and out of nowhere, he sees a woman just standing there, right in the middle of the road. He yanks the wheel to avoid her, crashes into a tree, and ends up with a broken collarbone. But here's the thing. Alok, who was right there with him, swore the road was empty, completely empty. Of course, their friends just blew it off, Archit must have been drunk. But Archit, he knew what he saw. And for him, this was the very first sign that something was seriously wrong. Right after that accident, boom, the nationwide COVID lockdown hits. So now the friends are literally trapped in their 13th floor apartment. And with absolutely nowhere else to go, the weird stuff started to ramp up, becoming impossible to just brush off.
The escalation was, well, it was something else. It started with just this unsettling feeling, a heaviness in the air, like they were constantly being watched. Then the physical stuff began. Their heavy carom board flipped over all by itself. They'd hear footsteps sprinting down the hall when nobody was there. And then came the knocking on the balcony door of a 13th floor apartment. One night, Raman's in bed and he hears it. Knock, knock, knock on his balcony door. His blood just ran cold. I mean, think about it. This is the top floor. There's no way anyone could be out there. As he starts to get up, he feels this invisible force just shove him back down onto the bed, pinning him. He was so paralyzed with fear, he couldn't even scream. At this point, the constant fear is taking a huge psychological toll. The activity in the flat wasn't just spooky noises anymore. It felt aggressive, it felt personal, and it all climaxed in a nightmare that was so vivid it felt terrifyingly real. So Archit has this dream. In it, he and his girlfriend get into this awful fight, and in a fit of pure rage, he picks up this heavy stone and just hits her with it, again and again. After she dies, he watches himself hang his own body from the fan. He woke up shaking, just drenched in sweat. It didn't feel like a regular nightmare. It felt like a memory or a warning. This horrifying vision was the final straw. They knew they had to get out. They didn't waste another second. They frantically searched for a new place, and somehow, within a week, they were out. They just fled the apartment on the 13th floor, leaving all the unsettling experiences behind.
But the question of what exactly happened there, that still haunted them.
So a few weeks go by in their new place, life is starting to feel normal again. Then one day, they go back to their old building to visit some friends. On the way out, they see the security guard and figure, what the heck, let's ask him one last time if he knows anything about that apartment. And this time, he finally cracked. He told them everything.
The guard tells them this story that just makes their blood run cold. See, the previous tenants, the owners, were a married couple who fought all the time. One night, things got really violent, and the husband grabbed a stone grinder and beat his wife to death. Then, he went into the master bedroom and hanged himself from the ceiling fan. The details, they matched Arquette's dream with this chilling, absolutely undeniable precision.
And the landlord, the person who rented them the flat, she was the sister of the man who did it. She had rented the flat to them as is, without changing a single thing. They had been sleeping in the same bed, using the same furniture. They had been living inside a sealed crime scene where a brutal murder-suicide had taken place.
The experience these three friends had, which was later picked up by online news sites, really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Are our homes just bricks and mortar, or can they hold on to the echoes of what happened inside their walls? And if they can, what happens when you unknowingly move into a place that holds a memory of pure rage and tragedy?
Follow and subscribe for the next tech part. Hit that subscribe button and follow us now.